They stare, don't they? They measure you with glances, dissecting your posture, analyzing the briefest flicker in your eyes. They whisper behind the closed doors of their certainty, believing they know the maximum capacity of the vessel you inhabit, thinking they understand the crushing, beautiful weight you carry. But you know the secret. They have absolutely no idea. Every step you take, every calculated, measured glance you return, is not merely an action. It's a spark ignited in a world that desperately, inherently, wanted you to remain small. They spent years building walls around your mind, clever walls, reinforced with societal consensus and soft expectations, strong walls, built from the material of comfortable conformity. But you learned a long time ago that walls aren't armor, are they? They are, in fact, invitations, challenges etched in stone. And tonight, right now, you learn what it truly means to move through them. Untouchable, invisible in plain sight. The world, in its weary, predictable cycle, demands obedience. It expects a quiet, respectful nod, a barely audible, soft sigh of resignation. It anticipates that you will accept your assigned role and smoothly fade back into the comforting collective shadows where no one asks too many questions. And that is the funny, tragic thing about expectations, isn't it? They are fragile. They are built on a foundation of air, thin as glass under the mounting pressure you generate, delicate as paper waiting for the inevitable touch of fire. You, however, are not fragile. You are the storm they failed to predict on their tidy little forecasts. You are the sharp, echoing laughter that rings out precisely when their heavy doors slam shut, meant to confine you. You are the grin that stretches, relentlessly, across the boundaries of your own perceived limits, an unending test of how far the universe will bend before, inevitably, it must break. Listen closely, and learn the first law of the game. Your silence is exponentially more dangerous than all of their words combined. Their continuous chatter, their petty judgments, their unsolicited advice, it all lands on your awareness like soft, insignificant feathers caught in the eye of a hurricane. And here you stand, completely stable, completely centered in the furious eye of that storm, watching, smiling a knowing smile, and above all else, calculating. Every cursory glance they grant you is a mistake, a critical error in reconnaissance. Every patronizing assumption they make about your next move becomes a colossal, unearned advantage you tuck away. You don't need to announce your presence or violently strike out. You simply need to exist, fully and completely, and that mere existence is enough to make them tremble in ways their fragile egos will never admit. Do you feel it? That profound, deep tightening in your chest? That sense of being home in your own mind? A sensation that tells you with absolute clarity that you are awake while everyone else is merely sleepwalking through their days. That is your edge. That is the leverage they don't see and cannot see. And you, lucky you, get to move through a world populated by blind spectators, twisting the rules of engagement without ever needing to physically touch the board they think they control. You are the question they were too afraid to ask themselves, the answer they will never possess, and the thrill, the delicious, private thrill, is knowing that you alone get to write your own definition of unstoppable. They believe they fear failure. That's cute. What they truly fear is what they cannot, under any circumstances, control. Control is the most fickle of friends. It slips, it fractures, it evaporates the instant you make the conscious decision that it is no longer theirs to hold. You hold it. You own it. You cradle it close like a secret weapon, nuclear in its potential. And in that quiet, invisible possession, in that untouchable mastery, the world begins, subtly at first, and then undeniably, to notice your power. And all you have to do is keep walking, keep smiling, and keep being the inevitable storm they refuse, out of fear, to name. This brings us to the first true whisper of truth. The world demands you stay small and that you remain safe. But safe is the antithesis of growth. Safe is merely boring. Small is instantly, tragically forgettable. And you are neither. You are the anomaly in their comfortable calculation, the sharp, inconvenient laughter in their deadening silence, the shadow that learns to bend light to its own will. Every eye that briefly glances at you, every mind that blindly underestimates you, every heartbeat that skips a rhythm because of your proximity. It is all proof. Proof that they cannot, and will never, contain what fundamentally refuses to be contained. They feed you the narcotic of comfort. A warm, plush chair, a steady, predictable routine, the illusion of safety wrapped tight in the dull, numbing repetition of days. But comfort is a leash, isn't it? It is a velvet chain, and every moment you linger too long in its embrace, you forget the taste of fire. You forget the powerful primal pulse in your veins that screams relentlessly for more. Comfort is the silent thief that creeps into your soul, stealing your sharpness, leaving you heavy, predictable, and so tragically easy to dismiss. And predictable, make no mistake, is death disguised as life. Look at them, eyes glazed over, moving through their pre-programmed days like puppets, jerked by invisible economic strings. They don't even question it. They are afraid to wake up and see the puppeteer. But you have already seen the cracks. You have felt the deep, persistent unease, the undeniable pull, the private whisper that tells you that comfort is merely a coffin dressed in expensive velvet. And while they drift into numb compliance, you, consciously, begin to sharpen. You cut, you rise. That is what makes you profoundly dangerous. That is what makes you unforgettable. They want you soft. They want you predictable. They want to know your next move before you even register the thought. But the very second you decisively break the rhythm, the second you deliberately step outside the boundaries of their design, you become untouchable. Why? Because unpredictability terrifies them. It is a storm they cannot forecast, lightning they cannot capture. And you are that lightning, shocking, blinding, impossible to capture. And the moment they even try, you are already gone, already far beyond their pathetic reach. Fear is not your enemy. It is your exquisitely tuned compass. When your hands involuntarily shake, when your breath catches short, when your skin burns with a high-voltage anticipation, that is the unmistakable signal. That is the razor-thin edge pulling you forward. Most people flee from this sensation. They bury it deep beneath layers of distraction. But you take it in. You use it. You turn that raw fear into a weapon sharper than any manufactured blade. Fear tells you that you are intensely alive. Fear tells you that you are close to the threshold. And fear, when fully owned and mastered, becomes the very engine that drives you into places no one else dares to go. Remember this iron law. Comfort will betray you. Fear will crown you. One numbs you until you silently disappear. The other awakens you until you cannot possibly be ignored. You stand at the fork in the road. One path fades into softness and a forgettable existence, a life that dies long before the body does. The other path? It is fire. It is sharp edges. It is the road where every single step is uncertain, but every step makes you more intensely alive than they will ever be. Ask yourself now, which one do you choose? Your loudest enemy does not sit across a table from you. It does not carry a weapon or wear a threatening mask. It whispers. It lingers. It is the persistent echo inside your own skull, that voice that tells you to wait, that smirk that insists you're not quite enough, that shadow that grows heavier the moment you dare to dream bigger than their pathetic, pre-written script. And isn't it ironic how it never shouts? It just drips like a slow, toxic poison, drop after agonizing drop until you must choose to either drown in it or learn to drink it down. But here is the ultimate secret they never teach. You don't silence the voice. You weaponize it. You twist it. You bend it until it serves your highest purpose. Doubt becomes valuable data. Hesitation becomes a measure of perfect timing. Weakness is repurposed as disguise. That is the supreme trick. You use the voice. You twist it, shape it, sharpen it, until the very thing that once threatened to break you becomes the fuel that propels you toward your coronation. Most people run, frantically, from their own reflection. They plaster over the cracks. They desperately drown out the internal noise with comfort, screens, and empty smiles. But not you. You are not built to run. You are built to stare into the mirror until the mirror breaks first. You are built to face the whispers until they grow weary of whispering. And in that eventual silence, when the echoes finally bow in submission, you rise. You rise sharper, colder, and more precisely effective than they ever thought possible. Every scar etched on your mind is undeniable proof of survival. Every sleepless night is proof of deep, grinding endurance. Every silent scream you swallowed and buried is proof of raw, contained power. Do not waste that proof. Drag it out, hold it close, wrap it around your very being like impenetrable armor. Because the war inside you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to rebuild you. They told you life operates on fairness, balance, order, play, nice, and everything works out in the end. Those are lies, all of it. The world doesn't run on fairness. It runs on leverage. And leverage is never given freely. It is taken quietly, strategically, and often invisibly. Power does not wear a gaudy crown or announce itself with fanfare. It hides in the silence. It hides in impeccable timing. It hides in the subtle moves no one notices until the game is already, irretrievably, over. The loudest one in the room is invariably the weakest. Real power does not scream. It waits. It calculates. It allows others to exhaust themselves, speaking, proving, begging to be seen. Real power sits back, smiling, watching, waiting for that single, perfect, decisive moment when one word or one quiet move ends the entire interaction. That is how you win. Not by shouting, but by bending time itself to your rhythm. Stop chasing. Stop explaining. Stop trying to convince a single soul of your inherent worth. Worth does not explain itself. It demands recognition. Worth does not bend. It forces the world to bend around it. Every time you hesitate, every time you defend yourself, you carelessly hand over leverage. But the second you realize that silence is infinitely stronger than any explanation, you become truly untouchable. And untouchable is the only position worth fighting to stand in. Consider the notion of level 7 priority. It sounds dramatic, like some secret code. But that is precisely what it is. The highest tier of protection, not for systems or cities, but for you. For the impenetrable shield you build around your energy, your time, and your singular focus. While others scatter themselves thin, bleeding their value for people who wouldn't notice their eventual absence, you stand wrapped in this invisible armor. Everything you are guarded like nuclear fire. When you move to level 7, you cease being universally accessible. You cease being predictable. You cease being available on demand. You become scarce. And scarcity in this economy is power. They won't like it. They'll test it. They'll call you cold, selfish, or distant. And every time they do, you will smile. Because deep down, they know the truth. They can't afford to lose you, and they absolutely hate the fact they no longer own you. Protection, at this level, does not mean hiding. It means being untouchable while standing right in front of them. knowing that no one can drain what they cannot access. You hold your energy like a weapon, only drawing it when you decide. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them write you off as nothing more than a passing shadow. Underestimation is the sweetest gift they will ever hand you. They think you are weak? Perfect. They think you are finished? Even better. Because the moment they stop expecting, you get to move in the silence. And the silence is where the foundation of legend is quietly, strategically built. You don't need their validation. Power lives in invisibility. The real strike is never announced. It lands out of nowhere. You are becoming the silence they laughed at, the storm they didn't predict, the reckoning that doesn't knock. It simply arrives. Use their laughter as your cover. Use their dismissal as your camouflage. Because the irony is profound. They believe they are holding you back, but their doubt is your fuel. Every smirk is a spark. Every dismissal is gasoline poured onto the fire you are about to unleash. And by the time they see the blaze, you will already be untouchable, crowned, and beyond reach. Survival is not luck. It is a calculation. It is the fierce, primal refusal to stay down when every voice begs you to. Survival is not about clinging to something until it's over. It's about building while everything collapses. It's about sharpening yourself in the ruins, making the rubble your foundation. You don't wait for the storm to pass. You thrive in it. You carve your name into the thunder. Pain is a blueprint. Study it, memorize it, build on it. Every scar tells you where the armor needs to thicken. Once you learn to survive the worst becomes powerless. And when the worst is powerless, so is everything else. The most devastating moves are the ones no one notices until the game is over. That is the invisible strike, the power of patience, the discipline of silence. While everyone else burns their energy trying to be noticed, you wait, calm, cold, and calculated. You are building pressure in the silence, waiting for the exact second to unleash the strike that will echo forever. The world won't just hear it. The world will never recover from it. That is the power of being unseen until the moment you choose to be undeniable. That is the power of being unseen until the moment you choose to be undeniable. Because when you finally emerge from the silence, when you step out from behind the curtain of calculated stillness, the world stutters. It blinks, disoriented, unprepared for the sheer gravity of your presence. They won't understand where you came from, how you built something from nothing while they were busy shouting into the void for validation. But you'll know. You'll know every sleepless night, every quiet decision, and every unacknowledged hour spent sharpening your edges was building to this exact moment. You don't arrive by chance. You arrive by design. You don't crash into destiny. You sculpt it with bare, bleeding hands until it finally resembles something worth bowing to. And in that instant, when your silence detonates into action, when the invisible suddenly becomes undeniable, the entire architecture of doubt begins to crumble under the pressure of your existence. They will call it sudden. They always do. As if brilliance can ever be sudden. As if the quiet accumulation of mastery over thousands of unseen moments is an accident. They will rewrite your story in real time, scrambling to make sense of how you moved in the dark while they danced under the easy, forgiving light of comfort. But you will not correct them. Let them believe what soothes them. Let them pretend you were lucky, or chosen, or helped. You owe them no explanation, no glimpse behind the curtain of your method. True creation thrives in mystery. The alchemy of becoming is not meant to be witnessed. It is meant to be revealed only once it's irreversible. Understand this. Obscurity is not your enemy. It is your incubator. Greatness grows best in silence, nourished by rejection, forged by isolation, refined by the kind of focus the world will never comprehend. You were never behind. You were simply underground. evolving where no one thought to look. And while they measured time in applause and followers, you measured it in transformation, in precision, in the small, private victories that demanded no audience. You learned the secret rhythm of power, that true dominance arrives softly, without announcement, without spectacle. It simply appears, complete, unbothered, unchallenged. And when it does, when the full force of your becoming collides with their fragile assumptions, the noise of their disbelief will be the sweetest music you've ever heard. It will be the chorus of every voice that once told you to slow down, to soften, to stay safe. You'll hear it in the silence that follows your rise, the moment when even your enemies fall quiet, unsure whether to fear you or worship you. That's when you'll realize the truth you've known all along. You were never trying to prove anything. You were simply remembering what you've always been capable of. You see, the world worships noise because it fears silence. It fills every void with distraction, every second with motion, terrified of confronting stillness. But you mastered the stillness. You lived in it, learned its language, became fluent in patience. And patience, when wielded with purpose, is indistinguishable from power. You waited not because you were unsure, but because you understood timing. The storm doesn't ask permission to form. It studies the sky. The lightning doesn't explain itself. It strikes when it's ready. That's what you are now. Readiness embodied, inevitability disguised as calm. So when they finally see you, when the lights finally swing in your direction, do not flinch. Do not shrink. Do not let them mistake your grace for luck. Walk through their disbelief as if it were fog. Let it part around you. Every eye that follows you, every mind that scrambles to recalculate your worth, is merely acknowledging what you already knew. You were never waiting for their permission. You were waiting for your moment. And now, it's here. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Simply move, because the ones who truly hold power never warn the world before they change it. If you felt that, if you recognized yourself in those words, remember, your silence has power, your patience has purpose, and your moment is coming, faster than they can prepare for. Keep sharpening, keep building, keep becoming undeniable. And when that moment arrives, don't just rise, detonate. Like, share, and subscribe if this hit your soul. And if you're ready to walk with the ones who move in silence, join the membership. Your evolution has already begun.